How did you waste your 20s? Anxiety, depression, low self-esteem and no confidence. I wanted to go to college, graduate, make friends, have sex, have relationships, find a joke I like, move to a city, go places and do things that I'd be able to remember. Made a few friends, got depressed, graduated, moved back to my podunk town, started therapy at 26, work a job I don't hate, and go home to an empty rental every day where I feel miserable and lonely. The only thing I feel like I have going for me is I don't have debt. Unless I have a crazy 2 months, my entire 20s will have been wasted IMO. I didn't question anything or really think about what I wanted. I cruised through my 20s just doing whatever my partner wanted. That wasn't a bad thing. A lot of the cool stuff I did was because she wanted to, and it was amazing. The problem was that I spent zero time on introspection and getting to know who I actually was. As a result, I only started that process just before I turned 30. And as a result, my entire life has been turned upside down in the last 3 months. If that had happened when I was 23, the consequences would have been a lot easier to deal with than at 33. In the worst way possible, gamer lifestyle. Ignored invitations to social stuff. Ate myself to 275 pounds and gained the shit out of my brain. Nothing left to do but gaming. I had no joy in it anymore. I craved social stuff, only then to realize everyone was in their late 20s, 30s now, and had their life together, which didn't include me. Fast forward and here I am, 40 and game over. Raise your hand if you did it the same way, and live with the same horrible regrets now. Come on. I know you're there. No shame. Lots of ways, but right now I'm convinced it was being in a serious relationship and getting married. Obviously heartbroken, angry, and going through some shit at the moment. I just see the things I want in a partner that other women seem to have, and they all got married a little later. Part of me wonders if it's because they grew up first and didn't settle. Did I settle? I don't know. I never even lived on my own. But I also had 3 kids, so it's really hard to say I have any regrets. Just sad at how things have turned out now. Deaf things are do differently. Got a degree that was way too hard for me, and I felt like I had spent too many years to give up. Had a horrible crush on someone and it ruined my health. Wasted time on dating apps and dating horrible men. I'm now good though. I learned many important lessons no one would have ever learned otherwise, and I am doing well in love, financially, physically and mentally. Nothing can ever hurt me anymore, and I have a top degree. 20s really are a nasty mess that you can use as chaos to grow from. I say the more manure the better the rose. Make sure you're on a career path by 30 for sure, and start investing into a company for 1k if possible. I'm 38 and terrified of retirement because it never crossed my mind that Social Security isn't going to be enough to get comfortable. Exercise, like 30 minutes of walking a day total. Do some stretches or strength training. 30 hits hard. My knees just hurt from working an office job. I get super winded at a 20-minute walk pace. If I try to talk, I'm getting it together now. But damn, did I wait too long. Got married in a foreign country when I was 20. We'd been in an LDR for 5 years now. Turns out he was horrible, and I don't think he actually ever wanted me to get my green card, lest I do fucking better. He divorcing his abusive ass and finally getting through the paperwork, so I'm not an illegal immigrant anymore. I just got my work permit, and all I can think about is how little I've done this past decade. No work experience, no skills. I feel like a child or someone who just got out of jail. Got married at 20. Had a baby and got severe postpartum mental health issues. Got divorced, got into an abusive relationship. Didn't pay child support, so got major debt. Finally left abusive relationship. Continued to just live with postpartum mental health issues with no help. Kept starting and stopping school. Finally realized far too late, now in my early 30s, how much I fucked up my own life. And my kids. Thank God her dad is amazing. 'Cause I definitely suck. Living my life based almost entirely on the emotions of my parents, that unconsciously I was making choices, behaving, almost entirely based on the very emotionally damaged behavior of my parents. I didn't even really know who I was until that point, and it took years of my 30s to work through it, to the point that it's not subconscious and I'm able to avoid it. By being chronically ill and not being assertive with my doctors. I was told for over 15 years that my fatigue was just depression. Then, in my 30s, I had a hard time getting pregnant, still trying at 36. And I found out I have Hashimoto's, an autoimmune disease that causes fatigue. That would have been fucking nice to know when I was 16 and first went to the doctor about it. My 20s would have been way different. I'll be 30 this year on obtaining a bachelor degree I didn't want for years. Then I went for my master to another country for a year and obtained it. Then lockdown happened, so that's 2 years gone to waste. Throughout those times I was broke but happy. Now I'm doing a PhD. I don't like haha, but I am no longer broke, and I'm more or less happy, but also scared most of the time. I'm turning 30 next month, so this is timely. I have a job that pays well enough to buy a house in a good area. Money isn't really an issue right now. However, all I did outside of work was play morps and sometimes work out. I don't have any friends, and it's quite lonely. Doesn't help that I get nauseous around large crowds. I wish I had spent more time getting over that. And really say waste because they were some of the best years of my life. But trying to make music a career and failing at it felt like a huge waste at the time and made me really depressed for a while. It set me back quite a bit in the real-world career game. But I eventually found my footing and still have those fun memories and musical ability for the rest of my life. By not being consistent with taking care of my body and sticking to any job I had. I always quit my jobs after 6 months to a year because I get bored. And I can never seem to stick to a workout regime even though I really enjoy feeling strong. IDK man. I feel like I should have had more sex as well, lol. But at least I still have my 30s to correct this behavior as I'm 28 now. The same way as my 30s. By having no actionable goals or interests or having anything but fantasies. Although I feel it might be depression talking. But I don't really know because there is no will for anything either. Just going with the flow. Living on bare minimums. Waiting for a big thing to happen to push me further in either direction, salvation or total oblivion. And 23. I wasted my teens being friends with someone who made me feel like I should be grateful she's my friend, and that no one will like me. Etc., etc. It was 7 years of this garbage, and I fucking believed her. Stopped talking to her 2 years ago after I started to have new friends and she got so jealous it was too toxic for me. Anyway, I have good friends now. Tricked myself into thinking saving up a deposit to buy a house was possible. I've got the deposit, but mortgages are based on wages, and I'd need far above average, or a second person's wages in addition to my own to get a big enough mortgage to buy a very low value home. So renting with strangers and having nowhere to call my own is all I can get. I'm almost 30. Graduating college, and I didn't party much. Ended up graduating and working a dead municipal job for a few years, which came to a rough halt after my whole division got laid off over these past holidays. Now, I'm stuck in my late 20s churning out job applications. Doing interviews wondering if my 30s around the corner are going to be the same. Spent too much time with one person. Then when that fell apart, spent too much time focusing on work to set up a career. Now I'm recovering from cancer and still don't do much. Although that last part isn't really my fault. Some aspect of personal work family relationship always is ignored favored. Although and having more time with family I don't consider a waste. So much time wasting money and partying, socializing, not realizing time is passing by, and I need to make something of myself. My father has a successful business, and I could have used my 20s to take it to the next level. In trying, but business is getting tougher. But have wasted a decade. I could have also not abused my body with alcohol and smoking. but I have DJD, raved, occasional club and rave weekends, some weekends longer than others. I had fun. And although my youth was wasted while I was young, I regret nothing. Had I been a little smarter about it, I could have parlayed it into a lifetime of financial success. Instead, I decided to wait till my 30s to get serious about myself. I had a weed addiction and was in a toxic relationship for all of my 20s. So I had zero self-confidence and pretty much avoided socializing, preferred to stay at home smoking. After quitting weed, I made the choice to leave the relationship and become a single parent in my early 30s, and honestly, I'm a different person. Life is 100% better now. Married the wrong man. Been a slave to my mother who really didn't need the help but just loved to see me as her puppet. Depression and anxiety. Many other toxic relationships after the divorce. Looking back, being 30 now, I kind of am actually relieved that all of this happened in my 20s and not now. It sets some good foundation. Know your enemy. From 2025 getting stoned and playing video games when I wasn't working. Shift work meant I was off work when everyone was in work, and I had no motivation to do anything. Super depressing. Few weeks off the weed and feeling better and doing more. Flew out to Dublin for the day last week, which is something I never would have done a few weeks ago.